करने वाले अरे प्यार ही करेंगे जलने वाले चाहे जल जल मरेंगे
प्यार करने वाले अरे प्यार ही करेंगे जलने वाले चाहे जल जल मरेंगे
मिलके जो धड़के हैं दो दिल हरदम ये कहेंगे कहीं बीते ना हो कहीं बीते ना ये रातें कहीं बीते ना ये दिन गाता रहे मेरा दिल तू ही मेरी मंजिल हमराही मेरी बाह थामे चलना बदले दुनिया सारी तुम ना बदलना
प्यार हमें भी सिखला देना गर्दिश में संभलना कहीं बीते ना ये रातें कहीं बीते ना ये दिन
गाता रहे मेरा दिल तू ही मेरी मंजिल
A very good evening to all of you. Welcome to the Ken Rampersaud Show here on Island Zone Radio. A very special show today.
आती जाती सांस जाने कब से गा रही है कहीं बीते ना हो कहीं बीते ना ये रातें कहीं बीते ना ये दिन गाता रहे मेरा दिल तू ही मेरी मंजिल है कहीं बीते ना ये रातें कहीं बीते ना ये दिन कहीं बीते ना ये रातें कहीं बीते ना ये दिन गाता रहे मेरा दिल तू ही
That's the band Davindra Puran, all the way from Hague, on the west coast of the Marara. Again, you are welcome to the Ken Rampersaud Show. You know, this week, as I was thinking, I had all my topics I want to talk about. But when I think of this week that passed, if you guys have been on my page, you see so many people dying. Most of them died with COVID-19 and some other diagnosis. And so it really took me apart, and I said, my God, how can we all move on from losing so many family members? And I said to myself, you know what, if you look at the background, they're just some of the people who passed away of recently. And it really touched my heart to see so many of you losing your family members. So I thought to myself, let me see how best I can do this. But I couldn't do it like the regularly how I doing my show the last time, where I could use some other pictures, because at 6:30 I have an interview with Harold Miller, another councilman. We spoke to him a couple of weeks ago. So today I'm going to try to make this show something that's tangible, something that could probably help you ease the pain that you're going through. And as you feel this pain, I do feel your pain too. I read all your posts, I go over them all, and I have my moments too, because I plan to share my little story with you guys. Some of you may have known before. I know recently we lost the beautiful Sita Pandey, who I've never really met before. I saw her singing, and I really fall in love with her. One of the things that I plan to do, I know that a lot of people are doing tribute to her, but sometime this week, I'm going to plan a special. I've already asked some of the people who have performed with her, and so they can sit down, we all could sit down and talk about who Sita Pandey was. And another thing that really drew my attention towards Sita Pandey, we all jump on the bandwagon, including myself, talking about people who passed away and so on. But I want to get into the habit, which I will start the ball moving. Let's talk about people when they're alive. There's so many singers who doing so well in our community, so many dancers in our community, and so many people who are contributing towards our community. And you know what? We don't know about some of them. I don't know about some of them. So I want to get into the habit of talking to some of our singers and so on, to not when they die then we glorify them. Excuse me. I want to talk about people, glorify them while they are alive. So I'll be making some changes to my show. Every so often, I'll bring up some of our singers and dancers and those who really contribute to our society in a good way. If you look at the screen, I'm going to talk to you guys with some of the people that's on the screen. If you see the first one on the towards the left hand side, and if you look at the bottom, the second row, the one to the end, they're two fair-skinned person. They are sisters, Shanta and Satya. Along with the two sisters, another sister passed away within like 3 weeks right here in New York, and one of them died in Georgia. So, and I'm friends with one of the daughter here in New York, and I got to tell you, it is so hard for them. Three family members die within like 3 weeks time. So I want to say I'm very sorry to hear this. Also, if you look at in the blue, it's Dr. Veronica Wiltshire. She's a regular guest on the Ken Rampersaud Show. We are good friends, and I'm sorry to hear that her mother passed away a couple of days ago. And so I want us to embrace all these people who lost their family member, and she have left a good legacy. And her daughter, Dr. Veronica, she wrote a beautiful letter about her mom, which I plan to read sometime before the program. Also, if you see Michael, he is one of my cousins who died in Venezuela. He was from Lenora on the west coast of Demerara. He died a couple of days ago, and luckily, you know what? The bad thing is that this guy did not keep in touch with his family for and his children or no one for like 35 years, and it's sad. The whole thing is sad, and I will, as the program go on, I will talk about this. He died in Venezuela. None of his family, not one of them, could really go there to see what was going on. But fortunately, I was able to get going Venezuela via Zoom and also WhatsApp, and I get to see the funeral proceeding. But it's sad that we die and our family could not be there with us. And one of the things I want to say is that sometimes, for different reasons, and I'm not going to judge anybody, for some, when we decide to go by ourselves and live by ourselves, never forget that you have family who love you and who cares and who want to help you. He went there, and thank God that they had some good neighbors, some good people who make sure that he was buried rightly. Also, we have, you see the beautiful Sita Pandey, who died and was cremated or buried. So God bless her soul. She have made tremendous contribution towards our culture. Also, we have another guy there that you see with his hand on his chin. He is a friend of our family, and so he was from I think it was Anna Kitchener or CI somewhere there. So sad that he died too. Also, there's Nita there that died. Also, if you look in the next to my head, I'm going to try and move so you guys could see. That's Moti. Dale Moti father died. He was from Lenora on the west coast of the Demerara. He was a veterinarian in Florida, and so too bad that he passed away too with the COVID-19. Um, on next to him, Navin, he is from Lenora. I know most people probably don't know him, but he was from Lenora on the west coast of Demerara. Shanti, also Shanta, as I talked about earlier. And then we have another young man there, Bibi brother. I did a tribute to him a couple of weeks ago. He passed away too with COVID. Then we had another young man. He is, I think, the nephew of Roxanne Hamilton Walker. And I tell you, it is so sad. If you look at the young lady who's there, Miss Raghubir, she died probably about 2 years ago, I believe. And she is the daughter of one of my very good friend, Joan Cam. This young lady had brain cancer, and she died. She lost the battle. And it is so heart-wrenching. Joan and I went to school at the Lenore Secondary School together. and this is her only child that passed away. And I can tell you, I feel her pain all the time with her post, how she said she's sorry. And I tell you that we have to embrace each other and and help each other out. Let me see who's next. Um, yes, that's Shanta there again. Also, we have Ansel Ramsey from Trinidad and Tobago, and he is the father of Mr. Ramsey from DJ from Schenectady. Um, what a good guy, and I know his father is a good guy too. So then we have another older lady who died from Lenora on the west coast of Demerara. So, all these people dying out. Also, my boss from North General Hospital, where I was working, Miss Barnes, she died a couple of days ago. I learned that she died. It is sad because when I came to the United States a couple years ago, in '93, I started working at North General Hospital, and she played such a significant part in my nursing career. She was always, although she was an older woman, you could see her with her high heel shoes walking around, and you always could tell when she's coming around, she would you would hear the shoes, the clicks, clacks all the time. So, Miss Barnes, wherever you are, I'm so proud of you. I'm glad to work under your supervision. You have definitely left a dent in my nursing career. Wherever you are, may God continue to bless you. So I know I didn't get to put everybody picture on the screen as I wanted to do. I apologize. I'm going to make up for that sometime. I could not get to use the other screen that I was using because I'm have another interview in about 6:30 or so. So again, thank you very much, guys, for watching the show, the Ken Rampersaud Show. I want to say hello to, oh yes, Mr. Alvin Ramsroop. That's his father, that passed away in Trinidad and Tobago. Unfortunately, that Alvin could not even get to go to um, to Trinidad to for the funeral. I see Sheila Mangar Singh. Um, thanks for watching, Ollie from Suriname. Samuel Harichan, a very good afternoon to you. Um, my sister is watching all the way from Canada, Ishri Dowlat Ram. Oh, that's my brother-in-law. Also, Sukdeo Mangal, her sister passed away, yes, and that's Nita, her sister. I have to tell you that Sukdeo Mangal, always supportive to the Ken Rampersaud Show. We talk sometimes, and my dear, I am so sorry. My deepest sympathy to you and to all your family. Mahin, thank you very much. I think I know Mahin. So thanks for tuning in, Mahin. Maria Singh, thank you very much. Gayatri Dayal, thank you very much. Geeta Sukhdeo Shah, she said, may the family and close relative, friends find comfort with all the memories. Ramesh Singh, good afternoon. Debbie Sanyasi, thanks for watching. She said, I know Joan very well. Munti Bim, good evening. Also, I know Data from Eiffel Pasture died a couple of weeks ago in New Jersey, a very close friend of the family. Also, my deepest sympathy to you. Mari Siku, good evening to you. Priya Prasad, my dear, a very good evening to you too. Vidya Sigobin, thank you very much. Let's see who else here we have. Bibi Sharif, very good evening to you. Sami, good evening. David Isaac, good evening. My beautiful aunt, Delari Sigobin, is watching from Hartford City, Connecticut. Let's see, Monty Bim, good evening. Bibi Ali, good evening. Alvin, I'm so glad that Alvin able to tune in. Sissy McBill, always supportive to the Ken Rampersaud Show. Let's see who else we have. Rita Ragadu, good evening to you. Are we going to ask our DJ to get a song ready? And when we come back, I'm going to talk a little bit about me, myself, how I dealt with the loss of my mother, my father, and my brother. And I can only hope that I can help inspire you guys to find some comfort in your loss. Rishi Singh, good evening to you. Munti Bim, who else do we have? Darrell, thank you very much. Anne-Marie Mohabir, good afternoon. Let's see, we have Jimmy Sukdeo, good afternoon. Who else? We have Nitish, good evening. Let's see who else we have. Radha Totaram, always supportive. Good afternoon, my dear. So let's go. Brods Ali, good afternoon. Let's go for some music. And when we come back, I will tell you a little bit about how I dealt with my losses that I had and hope it could help you. Let's go, DJ. That's Samantha Vindrapuran. Roshni Pokan, good afternoon. Good evening, Deepa Dasred. That's her brother who died in Venezuela. My deepest sympathy to you. Kumari Jacobs. Gayatri Dayal. Johnny Samlal. Kamini Ramjan. Debbie says condolence to all. Again, you're watching the Ken Rampersaud Show right here on Island Zone Radio. I want to tell you guys, I want to start with my story, and then we're going to go through how can we help family members. You know, I grew up in Lenora on the west coast of the Marara. My mother was a seamstress. At 25 years old, I get a chance to come to the United States. Of course, I didn't have much family. I just had my aunt, Laura Sigobin, who brought me to the States. Unfortunately, I didn't have any working papers, so I had to stay. And I came to New York after spending 6 months in Hartford City. After that, I learned after a year, my mom had got an aneurysm. And after the year and 6 days, my mom died. She passed away. Unfortunately, I could not have attended her funeral. And I could tell you that what had helped me with her death is that knowing that my mom was a good woman and she was a decent woman. The only thing that I was thinking today what to say is that she only beat us every time we do something wrong. So licks for so with me. Um, but what helped me really to knowing that she was a great soul, a good woman who gave her children everything that we need. And listen to the word need. Um, and she grew us, she grew all of us properly. And then a couple of years, I couldn't go to that funeral. On that day that they're gonna take her to the cemetery to bury her. I took a shower, put on my white shirt, my black pants, and I lit a candle, and I was here all alone. I did not have any family. My aunt was in Connecticut, and I was here alone, no friends, nobody else. I sit in that room, lighting that candle, praying that God would forgive my mother, and if all the sins that she have committed, that He would make her path a lighter one, and that He will find a resting place for my mother. A couple of years after, luckily that I could have, my dad died, and after he died, I was able to travel to Guyana, and I went and I did everything for my dad. I bury him, I feed him everything, and so luckily, that didn't hit me so hard. And then a couple of years after, I had a younger brother than myself who was, I think, 35 years old, somewhere around there. And one day I was sleeping, and I get up to go to the bathroom, and my phone rang, and after the phone rang, I answered the phone. Normally, I don't expect anyone to call me that late. So my sister called me and said, my brother just passed away. He was racing right here in New York on the Grand Central on another state parkway. He hit a bump and he was driving at 118 miles to the hour, and he died right there on the spot. So the police came by my sister's house. They let her know everything. So, and the sad thing is that I had to go and identify my brother. I didn't see him in a while, and when I saw him, his all his arm was broken, his head was bust up, and so I decided to go to see his where he got the accident. And when I went there, I was surprised beyond anything. Even as a nurse, it was tough for me because when I look at the trees where my brother passed through, he probably hit half mile away where he get hit and end up half mile away. And when I look at all the brain matter that was on the trees, all his the motorbike was out, was damaged, his helmet was broken. And so I thought to myself, how do I really deal with all of this? It is difficult when you lose someone. It is not an easy road to go to. And we all know that in life, as long as we are born, we must die. Um, in my case, I've always said, I will embrace death anytime it comes to me because I know that I'm born, I will have to die. And there's so many things we can talk about, and I'll try my very best to touch on different subject area, how we can help each other during this difficult time. So you turn here and there, you're hearing somebody dying, or someone is sick, or someone got the COVID. And like I say before, that we still need to wear our masks. We still need to practice social distancing. We should not be letting down our guard because this thing is like a thief. He come when you are sleeping, if you know what I mean. So guys, be very careful. Also, I want to say happy birthday to Shanti Singh. I know Shanti Singh lost her mother not too long ago. And also congratulations to DJ Fest. His wedding anniversary. I know this is 2 years now that Kayum Khan lost his son. And I know he went to the cemetery yesterday. There is so much I want to talk about. I'm going to ask DJ to play another song. And when we come back, we will continue the conversation. I want to see, let me see. Deepa said, I can confess that Auntie Sylvie Ivy was the one in a million, Uncle Basra, and the role model. Derek was a good son. That's my brother too. So let's go. Thank you. This is very helpful. And we will talk about some of the things, how we can help each other get through this difficult time. Let's go, DJ. That is Apache Warrior and Sita Pandey. Again, welcome to the Ken Rampersaud Show right here on Island Zone Radio. As if you look at the screen, you will see all the beautiful souls that we have lost during within a couple of weeks and some a year or so. Um, and so I was thinking, how can we help each other during this difficult time? And so I came up with a few things. I want to say hello to Daisy Bisoon, Hassan Yusuf, Maria Harris is on. Very good afternoon to you. Helen Budram. I want to know if Helen is from Canada. Also, Rala Totaram, good evening to you. Varshalal, good evening. Chandra Sams, good evening. Tracy Andy, good evening. Jasoda Sugrim, good evening. Bisoon, good evening, my dear. Farida Basil, good evening to you. Bibi Sami, good evening to you. So, life is a series of peaks and valleys. We all know that. There are times in our life when we'll be up and when we'll be down. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down, but it's the difficult times where we need a little more support and guidance. And when we talk about support, a lot of times we need, when we lose someone or when we are going through a hard time, we need each other. You need to surround each other, whether it's your brother, your sister, or whomever it is. I'm a firm believer that it's how you respond in your moments of defeat that really defines the type of person who you really are. When you can improve your ability to navigate the difficult times, you're not only live a happy life, but also you grow as a person. One of the things that you want to do, you want to stay positive no matter what and don't give up. Life is not the way it's supposed to be, it's the way it is. The way you cope is what makes the difference. Now that I know this may sound kind of cliche, but the thing about cliche is that they are typically true. Staying positive only a small part in getting through the difficult times, but it's also an important part um, when you stay positive. As we always say, in life, we can look at the glass. We have a glass, it's half full or it's half empty. How do you really want to look at that glass? And in my mind, if you look at it half full, it's better. It's going to help you down in life, no matter what. Um, it's good to remain positive and remind yourself there really is a light at the end of the tunnel and that you will make it through no matter what. Or you can curl up and in a fetal position in bed. And that's the way some people do with themselves, to be nothing more than a victim of circumstances. I am not saying that you can never have a bad day. We all do in life have a bad day, no matter what. And despite I'm a talk show host, I'm a nurse, I go through the same things that you guys go through. But I'm saying you have to eventually pick up the pieces and start to move forward. You cannot left stuck in a situation, no matter what it is. If you lost someone, you can't stay in bed and be crying all the time. You are just going to get a nervous breakdown. You will then end up with depression. One thing you want to do too, also you want to be creative. There are times when you can do much to change the situation, or you can't do much to change the situation. You just have to deal with it as it comes. But there are other times when you can actively work to make the situation better. The solution wouldn't be just in plain sight, because if it was, guess what? Probably you wouldn't have forgotten. You haven't gotten the situation in the first place. But it can take step back. You can take a step back and see the bigger picture. You may discover something that can help you. And it's a true story. When something happened, just take a step back and look at it. And I'm going to just give you a little story. Like sometimes I complain, oh my God, the shoe is hurting my foot or my foot is hurting. And then when you look back somewhere, you see a man or a woman who does not have any foot or any feet, whatever it is, and they are just like that. And they're thinking to themselves, wow, I wish I had a foot, I had a 2 foot that I can walk around with. Okay. So these are some of the things that you can um, work with. You have a hand, but you don't have your fingers. It's still good help. And so that's why I'm saying you look at things in a positive way, learn from the difficult times. Face difficulty is inevitable. Learning from them is optional and true. Sometimes in life, we get lessons and we don't pay attention to the lessons and we don't get the lessons. And then guess what? we get another something bad happen again. The same thing happened to us again, and we find ourselves in a bad position. And I would just say that in terms of relationship, you get out, you in a relationship that bad, and you end up going to another relationship. You don't take time to heal from that relationship, and you jump into the same thing, right? Um, I like to pick everything apart and see what went wrong and what I could have done very differently. I always end up learning something that helped me, and I eventually get to the real clear picture of what I need to do to make sure that I'm not in the same situation again. Or if I do find myself in similar position, I know what to do to minimize the difficulty of the situation. And as we were talking about relationship, I'm gonna just go this again. If you're in a relationship and you know you're going to leave for a reason, and you see the next guy that you're going out with, and he have some of the same characteristic of the same person that you had before, I will tell you, try your very best not to going back in that situation. And I just use that one so you guys would get an idea of what I'm really talking about. you know Feeling stuck in the middle of a challenge is never a good thing. Here's your guide of getting unstuck and remaining motivated. It's easier than getting through a difficult time when you know the chances of it happening again are slim to none. And one of the things that I have learned several times is that when I'm in a difficult position, and Lord Jesus knows, sometimes, as much as I know, I find myself in difficult positions too. And then I want to know, what am I going to do, or how do I deal with this position? And I always step back, like I said, and look and see what options do I have. Um, and I can tell you, like, for example, if you're in the United States illegally and you came to, you're here, um, and you're not getting through your papers, you're not going to get through. One of the options that you have, or two of the options you have, you can stay, work, save a lot of money, and go home back to Guyana or wherever you come from, and see what best suits you. Because if they catch you, you're in problem. So the best thing to do, make decisions of things that's gonna help you. All right. I'm gonna get DJ get ready for another song. In the meantime, I talk about change it up. After you identify the key takeaway from your difficult time, you just need to change, make a little change. If it's a change you can implement immediately, just go right ahead and do it. You don't want to be in the middle of a difficult situation for a long, long time. And that goes to show that, and I was thinking today, if you're in an abusive situation, the earlier you get out of it, it's better. Don't linger on and let it last for a long time. Um, the other things, so you can use it when the situation calls for it. But it is pointless to learn from the difficult times if you learn doesn't directly affect your actions. I've really come to embrace the difficulties and struggles that life hands me, because I know there's a silver lining in every one of them. You are a lot more resilient than you give yourself credit for. And if I be, we can get to be honest with you. A lot of times, have you not know that decided, wow, and didn't realize that you were so strong after you came out of a situation, and you want to say, my God, I did not know I could do that. So let's go with another song, and I'm going to catch my breath, and when we come back, we'll talk again. Um, DJ Selector Bolt is the man playing the song for us tonight. Let's go.
You don't know what you have until it's gone.
That's right. That's right. Make sure you make your decision and treasure that you have, the things you have.
Until it's gone. Now you're up and gone away, baby. Didn't wanna stay, baby. I wasn't to play, baby. I just want you here, baby. Where you really want me to. Should I know my love for you is true? Girl, you been telling me that you're never gonna leave. Girl, you been telling me that you're never gonna leave.
Don't take people for granted.
Tell me that you're never.
If they tell you they're going to leave, they are going to leave. Try to fix things.
Tell me that you're never gonna leave. to the lies that they filling you inside, girl, don't believe. They go try everything to make we unhappy. When you listen to the lies that they filling you inside, girl, don't believe. They go try everything to make we unhappy. Oh, jealous people, want we only end up in fight. Girl, they wanna fool you, saying I ain't doing you right. Caught up of me, girl, you know the truth. Girl, you been telling me that you're never gonna leave. Girl, you been telling me that you're never gonna leave. Girl, you been telling me that you're never gonna leave. Girl, you been telling me that you're never gonna leave. My love is too kind, girl. Follow your mind, girl. Follow your heart. They go try everything, girl, to drive we apart. My love is too kind, girl. Follow your mind, girl. Follow your heart. They go try everything, girl, to drive we apart. Oh, jealous people, want we only end up in fight. Girl, they wanna fool you, saying I ain't doing you right. Caught up of me, girl, you know the truth. Girl, you been telling me that you're never gonna leave. Girl, you been telling me that you're never gonna leave. Girl, you been telling me that you're never gonna leave. Girl, you been telling me that you're never gonna leave.
That's right. Welcome back to the Ken Rampersaud Show here on Island Zone Radio. And that was DJ Bolt behind the scene playing a song. You know, let's see. Johnny Samlal, a very good afternoon to you. Candy Promisar, good evening to you. Mavis Kisoon, all the way from Canada. Always positive, and I like to get your positive messages. It's a very nice song that I so love, and that's true. Let's see, we have Bibi says that my deepest sympathy to all the beautiful family lost their loved ones. Veronica Singh, watching all the way from Canada, she's also playing her part in making a difference in this big world. Andy Singh, a good evening to you. Indra Singh, good evening to you. And Priya, I am doing good. I can't complain. Um, Ravika Betulal, good evening to you. Mahin, good evening again. And let's see, Andy Singh, Mavis Kisoon, don't cry too much, my dear. Joy Rambran, good evening to you, my dear. How are you? Hope all is good. And I want to read what Bibi says. She says, the best for life, lap dance, make joke, dress up, put on your personality and self-seen up to it for you, and no one can. And it is so true. You have to live your life. I've always said before that you live this life for once. You're not going to live two times, and try your very best to live it to your best of ability and respectfully, if you know what I mean. The other topic I'm going to talk about today is about know what you are grateful for. A lot of times we live life every day, we go on every day, and we don't show an appreciation, no gratitude. Gratitude means showing appreciation for all the good in your life instead of focusing on the negative. Get clear about what it is that you're grateful for. um, Write out everything in your life. I'm not the guy who like to write a lot, but but I could talk about it. An even more powerful exercise is to think that one of the person you are most grateful for, and write a note explaining why you are so grateful for having that person in your life. Then give him or her a call and read the note for them. the difficult times you are going through. And it's a true story. And a lot of times people don't do. Like me, I really don't need to write. It comes out of my mind, my mouth. I remember the things, the good things that people do for me, and how they make a difference in my life. So go ahead and continue to do the good things. Let people know how you feel for them. Not when the person dies, or they're sick and they can't hear, then you want to do all the good things for them. Again, show gratitude, show how important people are to your life. Um, well, it will start with with seamless significance, but it's compared to everything that's going right in your life. And sometimes we don't really realize too how significant it is to just say just a few words like thank you. That gesture you just did, or you give me $1. It is so important, and thank you so much. It really made a big difference in our life. Those little simple things really means a lot to some people, especially when it's coming from a good place. Focus on what you can control, what not what you can't. Some situations are beyond your control, and we all know that. And no matter what you do, you can't change it. And there's a good saying. You know what? Accept the things that you cannot change. You're setting yourself up for frustration when you focus on time and energy on things you can't control. You are also making the situation seem even more bleak than it's because you are focusing on the negatives. You should instead focus on the things that are within your control, because that's the only way you can make a change and actually going to help you in life. Make a list of everything you can control about the situation and divert all your focus towards those things. Anything that's not on the list doesn't get any attention. And that just goes to show, um, when I heard my cousin died in Venezuela, I could not go, but I was trying to see the best that I can do, how I can get to see that this guy get a good funeral, something that's decent. And luckily that friends help, and his daughter help and make sure that everything went well. So um, I know I could not get to Venezuela, so I was not um, fighting myself or beating myself up for things that I can't control. Every day I hear people comment, my God, I wish I could do this, and they're beating themselves up. And it's sad that, and I'm just gonna go tell you the story about my cousin. Uh, he didn't see his daughters in about 35, 30 years, and they were in Suriname. And what I admire about this young girl, we spoke for a long time on Saturday, and she said to me, I didn't know my dad. My dad didn't know me. I didn't see him. But when he died, she sent money, make sure that he get a decent funeral. And the way how she talked about her dad, she wished she had known him and so on. This doesn't happen. So that's a good thing that she did, although she know that she could not travel to Venezuela to see him. And the strange thing that he made, he made contact with her just a couple of months before he died. And that just goes to show a lot of times. And there was something that happened that I didn't even want to say, but one of the things that I want to tell parents sometimes, and people in general, sometimes the people who we don't like become the cornerstone for our home. And so it's always good to be kind to everyone who you reach in life and who you meet in life. You never know. Don't put no one down. You never know who you will meet sometime down in life. You know what I'm saying? And if you be respectful and treat everyone nice, hey, it could go a far way, and it will take you a far way. You realize you've come a long way. Sometimes we get to focus on the road ahead that we never look back to see what we have already traveled. Give yourself credit for everything you've already done. Give yourself a confidence boost when you realize that you've already made so much progress, and that the light at the end of the time of the tunnel will get better. And it is so true that nothing lasts forever. Things change, time pass, and things change, and you would not be stuck one place. Like a lot of times I pray about things. I was praying, what do I talk about today? I was not sure what I'm going to talk about today. I'm not even sure what the next word is going to come out of my mouth, to be very honest with you. But I know a couple of things I want to focus in. of how can I help those of us who are, those of you who are struggling to make amend with our past. And one of the things I want to talk about, but I don't think I may have time to talk a little bit about forgiveness, how important it is to forgive each other in life. um, Build up your community. You know, having the right people around you is one of the most important thing you can do for yourself when the time get tough. You want to surround yourself with people who are loving, caring, honest, and available. You need them to be loving because a little love always makes a bad day a good one and seem a lighter and brighter. You need them to be caring because it helps to have someone who cares about your well-being as much as you do. But you also need to be honest. You need someone who can look at you in the eyes and tell you the truth. The honesty may be the one piece of information you need to get through the tough times, and you need them to be available. When you pick up the phone, look for some compassion or honesty. It will help to have someone who's actually going to answer. Community is also important because it helps to have someone who understand what is that you're going through and can relate to your situation. If you can't find a community who has been through that what you're going through, you can find how they make it and then apply that to your own. You know, I've always tell people that I'm using that. You know, even to doing these shows, it really helps me to know in life. We sometimes have you know that you have a lot of people around you, and you still feel empty. You feel that you don't have any kind of support. And what do you do? How do you take care of this? And like I've always said, it's best to have one good friend or one of your good family around you who could support you than to have 100 people around you and you have to feel empty. Always, always try your very best to have people who can support you in all that you do. DJ is ready for another song, and when we come back, we will talk again. Make sure you have your circle small if possible with people who are going to support you. You want when something happens, your friends could come and say, listen, how can I help you? What can I do for you? Okay, you're short of $50. I'm going to give you that $50. And let's go. DJ is ready. You're watching the Ken Rampersaud Show.
All my friend and me, and all my family. All my friend and me, and all my family. We should love each other endlessly. All who don't like me, and all my enemy. We should be living in harmony. Don't take forever to say we love each other when God calls our number. It's over before it's too late, and we never have a chance to see each other. Oh, let we have a drink together before it's too late, and we never have a chance to see each other. Oh, let we have a drink together. Every day we live in stress and worry. Tomorrow we will make a happy story. But why not make tomorrow today? Cherish only ones who fill your story. We don't want to say if, when, or maybe. When someone that you love goes away. You are my brother, you are my sister. Hand in hand we'll face whatever. We walk together, I'm in your corner. I am here for you whenever. Don't take forever to say we love each other when God calls our number. have a chance to see each other. Oh, we have a drink together before it's too late and we never have a chance to see each other. Oh, we have a drink together. Think about giving, not receiving. Live a legacy that is worth leaving. Make someone number one today. Together we must make this journey. I lean on you, you lean on me. We'll never let each other go astray. You are my brother, you are my sister. Hand in hand we'll face whatever. We walk together, I'm in your corner. I am here for you whenever. Don't take forever to say we love each other when both goes on over. It's over before it's too late and we never have a chance to see each other. Oh, let we have a drink together before it's too late and we never have a chance to see each other. Oh, let we have a drink together. Oh, let we have a drink together. Oh, together.
G.I. The Great Stems Albert. Salute.
That's right. That's right. Welcome back to the Ken Rampersaud Show here on Island Zone Radio. I want to say thank you very much, guys, for staying with me and to watch this. I want to read my friend Ramjas Hiralal. He says, "There is nothing more important to a young man or woman that finds the answer to the question, 'What am I going to make out of my life?' Shallow thinking will not do it, Ken. One's life is of greatest consequences and must be looked at with intelligence, anticipate with imagination, design with care, and lived with ardor. Ken, there is always a moment of choice, moments when one decides, this is what I will do, the moment of truth, my brother." Well, thank you very much, my friend, for writing. I want to say hello to Krishna, Rudolph. Thank you very much for tuning in. Betty, thank you very much. Dano here, Hemlal, thank you very much. Adhin, thank you very much. Johnny Samlal, thanks for watching. Gail Benny, thank you very much. Sugrim, thanks for watching. And Annie Thomas, thank you very much. You know, going back to your to Hiralal, you know, and I know that you are a great guy, and so many times we try to instill good values and in our children and in our families, and we try to live by example that someone would see one day. But also, they have to play a part in all that you want to do. I have seen throughout my career, my nursing career, for those of you who don't know, I work with, I've spent my entire 30 years in New York working with the poor, the underprivileged, the addicted, the mentally challenged. And every time I meet my Guyanese people coming for help, and I see they're in drugs and they're smoking and drinking, they're losing their wife and losing their kids and all these things, it always baffles me. And that's why I started really this Ken Rampersaud show, because I have seen the way how alcohol, drugs have destroying our community. And some of you may not know, but this is what goes on. I get to see it because I'm in the game. And so I always want to send a message to young people: don't start something that you cannot finish. And when I speak to a lot of people who do drugs, a lot of times the children will tell me, or the kids will tell me, because I really do go with an intense interview and ask them why they get into this. And a lot of times they would tell me, you know what, they didn't expect that they didn't expect that this would have them like this, that they think that they would start the game and get out when they want to. Unfortunately, addiction does not work that way. Addiction is a bad thing. I have to tell you, you can't win the race of addiction that easily. Very few people that I've met is winning the race of addiction. So I've always sent this message to all my people, to all my listeners, to all the kids. Don't get into things that you can't get out of. It's not easy. And I get to see how it really destroy. I see I see some wives come to me, or I get called where some wife would call me and tell me about their husband and how he can't stop, he can't do this. We're going to lose the house, we're going to lose our car, and yet people not. The truth of the matter is, a lot of people are not listening. A lot of people are not paying attention. We think that we are better than everybody else, and that we can always win this race. So again, if you know anyone, like, don't start smoking, don't start drinking, and I preach that message because number one, I don't smoke and I don't drink. If I drink, probably once a year or twice a year. Um, I always tell people, and for those who know me, I get high off of life. I get high off the oxygen that I breathe and the life that I enjoy. Um, to be with my family, to with my sons, and so on. And that's what I get high off of. That's why I come before you guys and I preach like this, because what I preach, what I practice, I preach, and what I preach, I practice. All right. And always you want to be kind to yourself. You need to care for yourself to survive tough times. Take a walk through the park, lift some weight, read an amazing book. If it doesn't matter what you do, just do something that gets your mind or your body engaged at a higher level than wallowing yours with pity. So yes, a lot of people don't do this. You get depressed, you get sad, you get a little pain, you stay in bed, you crouch up. It's not going to help you. Um, you have to get out, do things that you like. Because when you start to get depression, that's a whole nother ball game you put yourself into. That's more worse for you. Always, and I cannot tell you how important it is to forgive yourself. If someone else is at fault for a bad situation, you find yourself in the natural response is to harbor anger or resentment towards that person. I do it sometimes, but what if instead you forgive that person? You accept what happened, but you no longer held it against them. Again, forgive, but don't hold it against them. And someone we were talking about forgiveness today, and one person said to me, "Listen, I'm going to forgive them, but I would not forget." Um, you accept what happened, but you no longer held it against them. You would feel better because now instead of focusing on the negative feelings you have towards that person, you can focus on moving forward. You can't really get through a difficult time when your energy enough, whenever enough, is about how upset you are with the person. Also, one thing I learned is that when you cannot forgive, it harbors so many bad feelings inside of you. And I've always said, if we are religious, we go to church, we preach, we are pandit, we are preacher, we have to set the tone for a parish to forgive. And that's one of the best things that you can really do to help yourself, especially if you want to believe, if you believe in heaven and you want to do good things. Always believe in forgiveness is one of the key things. You will feel better. But now instead of focusing on the negative feelings you have towards the person, you can focus on moving on. You can't really get through a difficult time when your every thought is about how upset you are with the person you go to into that mess. You know, it just makes things more difficult when you hold on to that mess. Or maybe it's difficult, it's a difficult time you're going through is a direct result of something that you did. I have been there before, and I know I continue to beat myself up about it. I couldn't forgive myself. I almost felt obligated to be hard on myself. The problem with that is it only makes things worse. You get caught up in revolving door of self-hatred and feeling worse, and there's a swirl of anger and frustration and doubt. It ultimately a recipe for disaster. And I know in life, I'm going to ask DJ to get a song ready for us, and I'm going to tell you something. Years ago, it used to be so difficult for me to forgive someone. It is tough. It wasn't easy for me to forgive. It was a tough thing to do. But years ago, I learned how I'm going to do that, and now I'm practicing and I'm learning how to forgive, because what I say to myself a lot of times is that I get upset, I get bitter about myself, I feel bitter about a person. And the thing is, you can forgive someone and still move on without them. All right. So again, always learn to forgive. And I'm going to talk probably next week or another week about forgiveness in a more in-depth area. You're watching the Ken Rampersaud Show. Zone Radio. DJ is ready.
Baby, you're the one I never thought I'd be. Saying from my heart how I feel. Ever since we met, I fell in.
Good evening, Elizabeth.
You being in my life is a dream come true. Oh baby, I'll never ever make you cry. I'll never say goodbye. I wipe your tears away. I just want to say, oh, I'll never leave you and go away. No, I'll never leave you and go away. Oh, what we have together is for eternity. Never gonna leave you. Never gonna leave you. I promise you with all of my heart I'll be standing beside you to build our dreams. I'll never make you unhappy. I want to be the man that you dream of. I want to be the shoulder you lean on. Oh, I want to be your everything. Oh, I'll never leave you and go away. No, I'll never leave you and go away. Oh, what we have together is for eternity. Since we met, I fell in love with you. You being in my life is a dream come true. Oh baby, I'll never ever make you cry. I'll never say goodbye. I wipe your tears away. I just want to say, oh, I'll never leave you and go away. No, I'll never leave you and go away. For eternity. No, I'll never leave you and go away. No, I'll never leave you and go away. Oh, what we have together is for eternity.
Stephen Ramford. Shakti Strings Studios.
A very good afternoon and welcome back to the Ken Rampersaud Show. As I see, we got some Sonia Singh, a very good evening. You see your brother picture is up there. Again, on behalf of myself and my family and all our viewers, our deepest sympathy to you. Veronica Singh, thank you very much. And Sampat, good afternoon. Krishna, good evening to you, sir. Rosie, good evening to our good friend Mary Ann Lou is watching in Canada. Thank you. Sakur, a very good afternoon. Betty Hansram, good afternoon. Johnny Samlal, good afternoon to you. Liz, she says, right, forgiveness is the key to happiness in life, and we must forgive people. It's not easy. Marna Ramroop, good evening. Yusuf, again, good evening. Adin, good evening. Let's see, we have Randy Harpersad. Good afternoon to you, sir. And Maria, she says, absolutely. Ken, you know, a lot of times we hear people dead, right? And what we do, we rush to them and we say all manner of things and we don't know what we're saying sometimes. And the truth of the matter is that we all have good intentions when we go to people and we want to tell them things and to be there for them, to support them, which is a good thing. I've learned over the years now, especially since I started doing the show, what are some of the appropriate things to say and some of the things I shouldn't be saying. Um, and one of the things you want to say is, I'm sorry for your loss. If you go somewhere, you know someone is dead, you said, I'm sorry. This is one of the simplest thing to say, which makes it perfect for almost any situation. It expresses your condolences in a graceful, understanding way, and it's equally appropriate regardless of your relationship to the deceased and to their family. You want to say, whomever it is, whether it's a he or she is missed. This is another classic sentiment, but it works well because it reminds the grieving family that others care about the person who's dead. It helps them feel less alone. They feel that someone loved them and reminds them that other people love the person that they have lost. And it's a good thing when someone dies, you go and you express your um, your sympathy to them. You want to say he or she was a wonderful person, although this is somewhat generic. But don't go and say the person was bad. We don't want to do that, right? We say good things when people die. And although this is somewhat generic, it is still a loving, lovely thing to say to a grieving people. You can also customize it with specific details about the deceased person to create more of an impact, such as some mentioned in a time when their good character really stood out for you and you were happy about it. Also, you want to tell a story, but you don't want to make it sound like a joke. If you had a personal connection with the disease, it can be helpful to share a small antidote about the time they had and they make a positive contributing contribution towards your life. Like for example, you can say, listen, your brother was so kind to me. He gave me $100 when I didn't have any money, or he gave me some food when I didn't had. It can be a time when they help you personally or a good deed they did for you. Keep it short and sweet, as many other people will be there sharing their own stories and remembrance. And one of the things that I see sometimes is that when you go to a you go to a funeral, you see sometimes people talk long, long about the person who died, and there is so many other people who want to say something. So anytime you go somewhere, you go to a funeral, you have to talk about your friend and your family. Please make it short and sweet. All right. Um, I am here for you. You want the person to know that you are there for them. When a loved one passes away, close family members often feel alone and unsupported. Make sure they know that you are there for them by explicitly telling them that, you know what, I am here for you. I am thinking about you. If you can't offer help, simply let them know that you're thinking about them and you can help them feel less alone. You can also let them know that they are in your prayers, but this one can be a little trickier. Some people who aren't religious may not appreciate that sentiment as much as you know. And it is so true. um, when you go to someone and you go and you don't know what to say, just stay quiet. Sometimes you can even touch someone and rub their back and say, I'm sorry. If you need anything, I'm here to help you. If it's a rich family, you know, You can always, words is good enough for them, I want to believe. But if somebody poor, you can always, ask them, can I make something and bring it for the week? Can I come by tonight and bring something? Can I give you something? Let me know how best I can help in this funeral arrangement or whatever it is. Express your love. If you have a choice, really, a close relationship with the deceased, it's okay to say that you love them. Something like, I love Auntie Pam or Uncle Kenneth or whomever it is. I'm going to miss her. Generally, will go over well with the family members. Talk about your relationship. It can be hard to know how to talk about your relationship when friends or co-workers, especially if you never got to know their family members. In those situations, it can be okay to talk about your relationship with the deceased. Phase like, he was like a brother to me. Can express how close you are to a good friend. Don't exaggerate. Don't make you feel important. Though it's true, it's simple. I enjoy working with your brother or your sister or your father. He or she was a very positive force in the office. And that is okay to say. Again, you don't want to go to them and make yourself look very like you're very important to them. You don't want to be the center of attention. Okay. Offer specific help. If you need anything, let me know. It is a common thing people say, but experts recommend offering more specific help. People who have just lost a loved one aren't often they're often overwhelmed and can't think of anything or do what they want to impose. Instead, um, and you don't want to impose on people. Instead, give them ideas of things you can help them with, such as babysitting, or so you're going to watch the kids while they're running around doing things, or you want to pick up some grocery, or you want to drop off some grocery. Do something of kind gesture. Avoid pressuring them. Offering help can be a bit of a fine line, though, as you don't want to make them feel obligated to socialize if they are not ready. A good way to offer emotional support is to say, if you need to talk, please don't hesitate to give me a call. Here is my number, blah, blah, blah. Keep the focus on close family members. When you're speaking to a grieving person, try to avoid centering the conversation on yourself or your experiences. It may feel supportive to say, I know how you feel, and share a story of a person you've lost. But that often makes people want to feel ignored. One of the other things is that if you haven't lost anyone and you don't know how it feels, please don't go and tell people, you know what, I know how it feels, because you probably would not know. All right. Instead, stick to this statements, focus on them and their loss. Don't gloss over their grief. Sometimes well-meaning people use phrases such as "she's in a better place" or "at least she is no pain no more." I see this all the time on Facebook. People write this, and is it true they are in a better place? Do we really know your loved one is in a better place? You want to say things like, "I'm so sorry for your loss. I'm here to support you." Because truth of the matter is, you don't know when they die where they're heading. We don't know. So try not to say, they are in a better place. Probably, as phase you can probably use, or they're in no more pain. They are not in no more pain or suffering, right? You don't want to say, oh, they're in a better place. You don't know. We don't know. Um, let's see. Avoid any positive comments should be about the person's life and not their death. You want to focus on their life, okay? If you want, you can share any funny stories that you have. Um, it would be a good thing. People like to hear good stories about their loved ones. And I always tell people, for example, me, excuse me, if when I die, the best thing you can do is write something nice on Facebook about me to my kids so they could read, or that was what that really meant to you, or how have we contributed towards you. A lot of people don't like to talk about that, but I talk about it anyhow because I know that I'm not here forever. We have to get comfortable in discussing things. I'm working on a show probably sometime of some of the things that we need to do and some of the things that we can talk about. Also, you can use photographs And as an icebreaker to take to the family, you want to share their pain when supporting a close friend or family through grief. It can be okay to offer a little more direct empathy. Be Even though I wasn't as close to him as you are when you're in pain, I feel your pain too. I'm here for you. Can help them feel supportive and validated. One thing you want to do. Another thing, be careful about religious phase. When you go somewhere, you don't know the person, you don't know their faith, you don't know their religion. You don't want to go there and said, Jesus bless them when they're Hindu, and these kind of things, right? Stay away from inheritance talk. You don't want to go there, excuse me, and you don't want to go there and talk about, oh, what is left for you? You get house, you get land, what you get, how much money she left you? Did you get to talk about this thing? No, you don't want to do all these kind of things. And the truth of the matter is, people are bold, they will come ask you those kind of things. But please, guys, you don't want to do that. Don't put a timeline on grief. I want to tell you guys, death is a bad thing. That is never a good thing. People die. There are different stages of grief. Some could say 5 stages, 7 stages. The truth of the matter is, we all are individual. We grieve differently. Some people grieve with can grieve a month, some a year, some 2 years. I was surprised last couple of weeks ago, um, and this is where we have to be careful. A woman told me her husband died, and I said, "Wow, I'm so sorry. My deepest sympathy to you." And I was surprised. I was blown away when she finished. She said, "I don't want to hear I'm sorry, and I'm sorry that he died. I am glad that he died." And I was like, "Oh my God, can you believe this?" And probably these are not the things you want to tell people, right? Don't discuss details. Um, Similar, avoid talking about how the person died while they're at the funeral. You don't want to. I hear people ask how he did or how she did. Try not to do these kind of things, because guess what? Sometimes I go to funeral and I overheard how people is talking about things. How he did. You hear anything? He did from AIDS. How he died. Listen to what they say. You want another good thing to do when you go to a funeral. You go to spend time with someone, give them time to talk. Don't go in and and talk all the time. You don't want to do that. Okay, let the person you're going to support, let them be able to talk and to do what they want to do. Be comfortable with tears, man. Listen, you guys probably don't know, but I cry all the time. If I hear someone die there close to me, or I come to a funeral, I see people crying, I cry too. Don't tell people stop crying, or don't cry. It's all right. Don't worry, cry. No, if people want to cry, be there, cry with them. If you have some tissue, give it to them and help them in the grief, right? Don't suggest it happened for a reason. A lot of times we go, we say, you know what? Oh God, this thing happened for a reason. Um, no, don't do that. Don't go into people's place and want to take over the people and talk the conversation or whatever it is. I'm out of time just now. I have 6:26. Um, and the truth of the matter is, DJ is gonna get another song for me. Get ready. I want you guys to stay with me. I'll be talking to Harold Miller in about 5 minutes. We will talk about some things that how you can vote for him and so on, how you can contribute for him, and one two other things. So don't go away. Stay with me. He's gonna call him anytime. And the truth of the matter is, if you don't know what to say, if you don't have words, stay quiet. You can ask to pray for them, or you can ask them, "Can I say a prayer with you?" And pray for them. Final thoughts on what to say at a funeral, whether you are mourning a close friend or a distant relative. The most important thing to remember when dealing, when deciding what to say at a funeral, keep it simple always. Be compassionate and be kind with your words. Everyone's experience with grief is slightly different, so be prepared to tailor your approach if necessary, so you can provide the best support and possible those around you. I hope that today's program has really helped you and to help move forward. So many people are dying now. Please be supportive and count your blessing one by one. We're gonna go for music, and then I'll come back with with the interview. Stay with me, guys. Okay. And when I come back, I'll get to say hello. Betty Biswa say she cry all the time. I cry too. You're not alone. Radha Totaram, Agnes Ramphal calling, Akbar Nizam, thank you very much. Jito Narayan, thank you very much. My aunt Dolores Sigobin, we put them back though that grieve again, and don't put back things. Cry, guys, grief. DJ Spider, I'm so glad that you tune in. And he's saying good night to all of you. Veronica saying good evening to you. Ram Hiralal, good evening. Mary Ann Lou, good evening. Oh my God, that's so sad. Yes, I'm sorry if I didn't call any one of your name. I'm going to come back, regroup my voice. And when we come back, we will do the interview. If not, I'll say hello to some of you guys. Let's go, DJ.
Prince JP. Girl, I love you, baby, yeah. My girl, call me, tell me it's over. Call me, tell me it's over. So she hit that I've been talking to a girl, but I swear I don't want no other. My girl, call me, tell me it's over. Call me, tell me it's over. So she hit that I've been talking to a girl, but I swear was a real big rumor. My baby, please don't leave me and go away. People trying to break up me and you. Them just can't see we living happy. You know I'm done with liming, done with flirting. Why they fighting for? Why they fighting for? See, I can't see myself living without you. Baby, this love is just between me and you. Baby, don't matter what them say or do, my love for you is pure and true. Nobody can come between us two. Love you, I love you, yeah I do. Baby, don't matter what them say or do, my love for you is pure and true. Nobody can come between us two. Love you, I love you, yes I do. I know plenty of your friends pulling up your head saying, oh, I bad. They won't judge me character just because they know all the girls I have. I know I made a lot of mistakes, baby, but you know I can't change my past. No, like I never tell you this, but I really don't know why people so fast. My baby, please don't leave me and go away. People trying to break up me and you. Them just can't see we living happy. You know I'm done with liming, done with flirting. Why they fighting for? Why they fighting for? See, I can't see myself living without you. Baby, this love is just between me and you. Baby, no matter what them say or do, my love for you is pure and true. Nobody can come between us two. Love you, I love you, yeah I do. Baby, no matter what them say or do, my love for you is pure and true. Nobody can come between us two. Love you, I love you, yes, yeah, do. Every one of your friends have something bad about me to say. I can't even talk to a girl, them say that they will change. I know I had a bad reputation, but you know I changed my ways. It's only you I love, baby girl, you can't listen what people say. My baby, please don't leave me and go away. People trying to break up me and you. Them just can't see we living happy. You know I'm done with liming, done with flirting. Why they fighting for? Why they fighting for? See, I can't see myself living without you. Baby, this love is just between me and you. You know I'm done with liming, done with flirting. Why they fighting for? Why they fighting for? See, I can't see myself living without you. Baby, this love is just between me and you.
Well, it's your boy, Mr. Amir Khan again, alongside Alvi, the Shack Picture Studio.
My girlfriend, she looking like a movie star. My girlfriend, a Guyanese princess you are. My girlfriend, she looking like a movie star. My girlfriend,
Just like before, you're the one I love. An angel from above. My girlfriend, she looking like a movie star. My girlfriend, a Guyanese princess you are. Time may fly, baby, tears may dry. My love for you.
A very good evening to you guys. Missy Boo, a very good evening to you. To my aunt Dolores Subin, Akbar Nizam, he said, rest in peace, my father, Nizam Harun. Thank you, Kenneth, for your kind words. Yes, on behalf of myself, my deepest sympathy to you. Marna Ramroop, a very good evening to you. My cousin Agnes is watching from Guyana. Bibi Jagnat, thank you very much. Just waiting for this interview. Let's see if we can get Mr. Harold Miller on the line. If not, I'm going to ask if he's listening to me that he can call me on my cell and we can talk. You're watching the Ken Rampersaud Show here on Island Zone Radio. Like I said before, guys, that so many people are dying out with the COVID-19, and we still have to be very careful not to get up. We got him. He's on. Mr. Harold Miller, are you on? Yes, I see he's on. Let me see. Oh, he's joining. Stay with us, guys. You are watching the Ken Rampersaud Show here on Island Zone Radio. And so now we have, yes, Mr. Harold Miller. Welcome and good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Good afternoon.
How are you doing, man?
I'm well, Ken. Thanks for having me on.
You are welcome. So I know we have some important news to tell us, if you want to share with us.
Well, you know, the campaign's going well. Right now, this week, we're starting off our petitions to get on the ballot.
Okay.
So this is really where the work begins. Because in order for me to win this campaign, I have to first get on the Democratic ballot.
Right.
So we're going to need folks to help out and volunteer. And so folks can either email us at info at Harold for Council. That's the number 4 council.com. So that's Harold, the number 4 council.com to email if you're interested in volunteering. Or you can call 929-376-8318. That's 929-376-8318 to volunteer if you would like to help us get on the ballot, for the Democratic primary.
That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking to Harold Miller, and he is running for City Council of District 27, right?
Yes.
And like I said before, all his family is from back in Guyana, right?
Yes.
So as you said that we can, people can volunteer. And when we talk about volunteer, what are some of the things that they can volunteer to do?
Well, first, we understand we're still in a pandemic, but the state of New York is requiring us to actually go out and collect signatures. So we're asking those who are able and can do it safely, wear your mask, wear some gloves, carry hand sanitizer, that you could go knock on, some neighbors' doors or stand at a local supermarket and collect signatures. For those who may be less comfortable in doing that, you can volunteer by phone banking, making phone calls to your neighbors as a way to do so. So that's, you can volunteer either way. We will need help on both ends, and, any thing you can do is greatly appreciated by me.
Yes, I know, and from the last interview, you sound such a wonderful individual, and like I tell my friends, we need to get you on the ballot so that we can vote for you to become the next city councilor for 27, right?
Yes, thank you. I greatly appreciate it. I appreciate this platform you have gave me to talk about my campaign, and we definitely have a lot of work ahead of us. But I'm confident once I get elected, we can actually bring some real results to our district.
That's right. And like we said before, you know what? If you can tell us some of the things that you are working on, so that people will get an idea, if you have the time to do that, or if you want to talk about anything else. So why should we really choose you to be on this ballot?
Well, I'll start from the beginning.
Right.
I'm running for city council because I have a history of getting things done, and my history, as mentioned, I grew up with my Guyanese grandparents, and I bring that up because my mother had me at a young age, and my grandparents had to raise me where she was able to go to school and then eventually go to college, and then she became a correction officer and
Really?
did 20 years as a correction officer. And so those memories of her, trying to get on her feet and, fighting through and making it to school, and then seeing my grandparents being a little older, they're still pretty young themselves, but, I still remember them getting up and going to work. My grandfather at the time when I was young was working for Chase Bank, and then later on he worked at the airports. My grandmother was a registered nurse.
Mm-hmm.
And so I learned about hard work at an early age. I learned about being a good neighbor because I lived in a neighborhood where we all looked out for each other. The electrician lived down the block. The painter lived next door. The plumber was a family friend. And so they were all on a first name basis. And so in this community that I came up in wasn't perfect. And there was a lot of inequalities in there. We had, schools that weren't performing at compared to white schools in the city. Services wasn't as, effective as, compared to other communities in the city. And we also saw in growing up, crime being so high in those days. I'm talking about the 1980s and the early 90s. And so all these experiences as a child helped me shape, a viewpoint of how we need to actually work in our communities and do things for our communities. And so when I graduated from college, I joined an organization called Acorn, where I went out and knocked on doors, talked to people, learned about the issues. It wasn't about how I felt. It wasn't about what my thoughts were. It was about what the community was expecting from government. And so I still carry that to this day. Obviously we all have opinions. I have a vision, but my vision and opinions were shaped by those doors I first knocked on almost 20 years ago, and all the way to this day. And so we address issues such as, school inequality, middle schools that require children to take an 8th grade science exam, and the kids never seen a lab and never actually practiced any lab practicals on those labs, and were expected to pass an exam and never actually had the foundation of using lab equipment. We fought and won science labs for the children. I was organizing families who are facing foreclosure right in Southeast Queens back in 2006 and early 2007. It was difficult because a lot of people thought it was their fault, the reason why the banks were foreclosing on their homes. And we would point out that the banks themselves were the ones that had these predatory loans. And the irony of it is I was out there doing this, and my own family members, my godmother, and later on my own mother, were victims of these predatory loans. And so, we had to fight. And I went all the way from, Hollis all the way to Buffalo, New York, fighting Chase Bank, and got city of Buffalo and the city of Binghamton, Albany County to divest money and protest so we can actually put pressure on the state legislature and other municipalities to hold banks accountable which we did. We got mortgage relief and mediation and other wins during that time. And then I organized fast food workers because many of them were working for low wages. And I knew this from personal experience because when I was 18 years old, I was working at KFC. And
Oh, really?
I was the youngest. Yeah, I was the youngest one there.
Wow.
Just think about that. A fast food restaurant. I'm 18 years old, and I am far and away the youngest person there. The next youngest person was 22 years old, a mother with 2 kids at that time. And so we had adults working for, at the time, minimum wage was $5.15 at that time, trying to raise a family. And so I never forgot that. I never forgot how hard they had to work. And this is about dignity. And you have a $1 billion corporation that were paying workers so low. And so I helped organize those workers later on. And we fought for a $15 minimum wage now that we enjoy here in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And then my career in the mayor's office, we expanded universal pre-K. I built, affordable housing with faith leaders. We addressed gun violence throughout the city. And so I have a history of getting things done. And, most recently with COVID-19, I worked on, making sure that New Yorkers were getting tested. I was the lead person on educating New Yorkers about COVID-19 and about making sure people wearing masks and practicing social distancing. We distributed over 3 million pieces of masks. So my work, my body of work demonstrates that I'm effective at getting things done. And I know in the city council, we can actually do something about the foreclosure crisis in our community and deed fraud. I know we can actually address transportation issues and make sure that we have bus services that could get to people to school and work quicker. I know we can actually get resources for our small businesses and bring quality jobs into our community so we can actually have an economy that works for us and we don't have to rely on big box stores and, lose our businesses out of this pandemic. And so this is why I'm running, because we know that with good organizing and relationships and my understanding of how government works, we can actually deliver for the constituents of the 27th district. And so this is why I'm in this race.
Also, I like some of the things that you are running, all the things that you're running on, that you're campaigning on, affordable housing, mortgage problem, domestic violence, and all those great things, transportation, and so on. And something just I was thinking, which I didn't ask you the last time, and as you said that, what is your thought about the right of women to choose? In terms of abortion and so on. I know we didn't talk about that, and I didn't plan to talk about that tonight. But since you said that, your mom was a young woman when she got you, for me, that now that I'm an adult, I think to myself, nobody should really abort their children. What is your take on that?
Well, my take is that, a woman has a right to make a decision on what's the best course of action for her. I understand the religious considerations, but at the end of the day, it's not really up to government to make that type of call. And I think that's between a woman, their doctor, their God, their spouse, or significant other. I'm thankful personally that I'm here because it easily went the other way, and I won't be here today. But that is up to the decision of the woman ultimately. And, and the government should not be in the way of those medical decisions. That's how I look at it. It's a medical decision, and it should be up to the privacy of that person.
I really do think so too. And if someone wants, I'm going to make my donation sometime down the line. I have to tell you that.
I appreciate it.
Yes, man, I have to support you. And I'm going to ask all our viewers. Harold Miller is running for City Council 27. And if you, please tell our viewers, what's the area like? When we talk about, some people may not know District 27, but if you tell them the area where you're covering, may be very helpful.
Absolutely. So it's the neighborhoods of St. Albans, Hollis, Cambria Heights, Queens Village, parts of South Jamaica, and parts of Springfield Gardens. It's a part of Southeast Queens that goes all the way from Jamaica, Long Island Railroad Station, all the way to the Cross Island Expressway, so to the Nassau border. And so north of the border, the northern part of the border is mostly Jamaica Avenue, and south is that Long Island railroad track that's like Bedell Street that covers a lot of the southern part. And so if you have a sense of where that is, you'll likely are in the district. It's a large area, diverse communities, and we are mostly of homeowners, but we have a lot of renters as well, and we have a lot of folks who are city workers, a lot of folks who are small business or entrepreneurs, and just a wonderful community. For those who do not live within the district, I highly recommend, if you're looking for a place to raise your family, to open up a business, to start a life of service, and Southeast Queens, particularly the neighborhoods that I mentioned, are great places to do so. And we are, this is my dog right here. He just hopped in. Yeah, this is Snoop.
Yeah, you could put them on. That's okay.
That's all right. Yeah. It's a community that is about family, and we definitely want to maintain that and maintain the quality of life that many of us enjoy. And so far as the fundraising, to make sure I can stay competitive and win this race, we definitely need to raise more money. So you can go to my website at harold4council.com and click that donation button. It'll take you right there. It's very easy, safe, and we greatly appreciate any donation we get. Those who live in the New York City and within the 5 boroughs, your donation will be matched 8-1, meaning every dollar you donate, the city will chip in $8 more. And so a $10 donation turns into 90, for example. If you live outside of the 5 boroughs, that's okay too. As long as you're within the United States, you can donate to the campaign, and that will be extremely helpful as well. But if you're within New York City, know that your money actually goes 8-fold, which is a beautiful thing. So we don't really need to have real estate developers or the big banks to fund our campaign. It'll be the people, and that's what makes this system so great, and that's what helps people like me who's very picky about where I raise my money, because I could have easily went to a real estate developer or to a bank executive. But I want my money to come from the people, because that's who I want to be accountable to at the end of the day.
Man, you sound just like me. I like poor people too, man. I want the poor people to support me and to help lift me up and motivate me. And that's a very good thing that we have and we are seeing in you. So that's a good thing. Again, how much money can poor people, if they want to put like $20, $50, can they do that, or they have to donate like $100 or $1,000?
Minimum is $10. You could donate as little as $10. Most contributions are somewhere between $25 to $36, and that goes a long way. Those who can give more, please do so. The maximum contribution is $1,000. And, so those who are doing well and like the message they're hearing from me, please give what you can so we can actually continue to get our message out there.
Good. In terms of domestic violence, how do you plan to tackle this? Because it has been, and we know during COVID now, everybody's home and they're getting upset with their husband or wife. How you plan to tackle that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I work with, while in the mayor's office, I work closely with the office to end gender-based violence. It's a agency within the mayor's office, and getting to hear some of the stories of the victims, it could be a bit overwhelming. And we need to continue to support offices like that and nonprofit organizations that are doing the work. the last few years, for some reason, New Year's Eve into New Year's Day has been a large toll of violent acts, particularly in our community, in the Guyanese American community. And we need to really dig in and address exactly what are the root causes of it, mental health, stress, financial stress. We need to dig in and teach couples, ways of communicating and ways of coping, ways of not using aggression as a means to solve problems. And we have to make sure those who are victims have support and know that there's support there, because a lot of times they feel like they're alone, and it's the opposite. And so, my office, when I'm elected, we will make sure we do informationals and trainings and workshops, simply because I want to do two things. One, I want to make sure that those who may feel that they have nowhere to go, that there is somewhere to go. We will be a resource, and we'll connect you to the right resources so you can get yourself out of that situation. But if you're a person, and I don't want to stereotype if you're a man, because it could go either way. It could
Absolutely.
Be, women being on men. It could be same-sex couples. The point is, if you're the aggressor, and that you have these tendencies, but you're seeking help, we want to make sure you get that help, because that's trauma that you probably carried over from childhood or another relationship or something like that. And so we want to make sure you get the help that you need. And so we can, actually end that cycle, because those things that get passed on to children, and then the cycle continues. And so we have an opportunity now that mental health has become more of a mainstay. It's not a taboo conversation anymore. Domestic violence is not much of a taboo conversation anymore. We should actually look to be proactive and make sure that people get the help that they need, and the resources needed so they can live healthier relationships.
Good, excellent. And I like that you're tackling all the important things. In our Guyanese population, especially in Richmond, I don't know, not sure, but in your district, with addiction, a lot of young men not going to school, they're into drugs and alcohol. And I get to see some of them at my place. I probably didn't tell you, but I work in Queens here. It's an addiction center right off Van Wyck Expressway. And I get to see so many young men come in there doing drugs. Do you have any place in your party that when you win that you will tackle this? Because you know what? I believe that young men, they are important in our future generation. And I'm certainly sure that you probably, this came into your door before.
Yes, actually had a conversation with some leaders of an organization called Vocal, and where they work on these issues of addiction and work on, making sure that we have policies that support treating drug addiction as a health issue. We tend to criminalize those who are on drugs, and I understand where that has originated from, but we have learned a lot in the last 30 years about drug addiction and the ties to mental health and the ties to other problems that it stems from. And so we need to make sure that we have resources available so they can first get mentally and physically well. Second, we all know when you don't have a job, you tend to turn to things that are destructive to you. And so we need to make sure that young men particularly have access to vocational education, other skills training, to do computer science, to do some of the things that cybersecurity. We really actually don't need a college degree. That's a misnomer. When you talk to the execs of these companies, and they're like, what are you actually, do you actually need to go through for 4 years of college? Most of them will say no. They put that requirement on there because they may want a certain type of person. So we have to actually be well organized as a community and build our own businesses, bring, train young people for the jobs of this century, as well as other vocational jobs such as plumbing, electrician, painting, because all those things will still be needed. With the pandemic, I think has taught us that what an essential work is. And so we still need mechanics and plumbers and, those who can actually build things and fix things. But in the same time, we're also growing it's a technological society. And so we need to make sure when we can get young people in front of a computer to learn how to do coding and learn how to actually, build firewalls against cyber attacks and, build video games even. There's so much out there that we can do that doesn't require you to go away to college. And we have to actually push for it and make sure we build the opportunities for them.
Well, let's come out. It's now 6:59. My time is coming up in 1 minute more.
Time has flew by.
Yes. And, I want to let you know that I know sometime in June is election, right?
Yeah, June 22nd is the primary.
Right.
Early voting starts June 12th.
Okay. So, I want to have my door open at any time before the elections. You can come back on the show and we can really tailor things to suit you, where we have a lot of some of the same question I ask you, but you can answer them more detailed and see how best we can help you to get to this position where you can get on the ballot. So keep my number. Your partner doing a fantastic job, always reaching out to me.
Yeah.
So please don't forget, you always have a seat at one of these chairs here, okay?
Thank you, Ken. And thanks to James Richmond for...
James Richmond is the man.
Yeah, to connecting us. But to, those who want to learn more about the campaign, 929-376-8318 or info@harold4council.com.
And don't forget, guys, donate so we could get him on that ballot.
Yes.
Again, sir, thank you very much for coming out on the Ken Rampersaud Show. And I know today is not the last day. We're going to continue this.
Yes, I look forward to being back soon. Thank you, Ken.
Yeah, thank you very much. Have a good evening. All right. Thanks, everyone, for watching the Ken Rampersaud Show on Island Zone Radio. Have a very good evening.